Do 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 do. Hello, everybody. Just here in my secret hideout, and today we're gonna talk about Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings, directed by Peter Jackson in 2001, which was a year before I graduated high school. Lord of the Rings are amazing books. They have always been in my family since I was a little kid. I used to go to my Uncle Gary and Aunt Karen's house all the time, and they lived in Buena Park, and they'd have this bookshelf full of all these Tolkien books and C.S. Lewis books, and so the Lord of the Rings has always been this really amazing fantasy memory for our family, and Star Wars too. And so when the movies came out, it was a really big deal. And like I said, I was still in high school, and at the time I remember seeing the trailer come out. I was in the movie theater, and the trailer came on when all the elf, the Fellowship, the elf and the hobbits and Frodo and everybody, they're coming up around a peak in the mountain, and you can see the big mountains in the background and everything. And I just instantly knew when I saw it, like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be good. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know what the trailer was until the end of the trailer, and it said The Lord of the Rings, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is really exciting. So typically in the fantasy genre for movies, there really isn't very many good fantasy movies. I think this is the very best one still to this day that's ever come out. I just went through all the 3 of the movies. I watched them with my dad again, and watched all the behind the scenes and the making of it and everything. And it really was an amazing undertaking. The production design was so incredible, and Peter Jackson, the weird thing about Peter Jackson was, I don't know how he got hired to do this movie, because he was doing all these weird little horror films and stuff early in his career, and he never really had anything that stood out that was really good. And somehow he got hired for this, and thank God he did, because he was the right person to do it, obviously. And I heard a story about him talking about how when he first took it to the studios, they got rejected, and he was trying to do, can't remember if he was trying to do 1 film or all 3, but everybody was trying to tell him, no, you can only do 1, you can't do all 3. But finally he got to the right place, and they agreed to let him do all 3 movies. And I just really love what Peter Jackson did with all 3 movies. And the Hobbit films, not so much, but the original, the first movie, was just really, really, really amazing. And still to this day, I think it's the best fantasy movie ever made. You have wizards, you have trolls, you have goblins, so many amazing makeup, impractical makeup, and the CGI is still really good. It blends well with all the practical stuff, and the story is amazing. Adapting those books would have been a complete nightmare. I think they had to do it several times. When I was watching the making of the films, they had to do so many rewrites. And another interesting thing that happened was, with the cast, all those people in the movie, all the actors, they had never worked with each other before. So Peter Jackson was very nervous that they would have chemistry together. And so when they all ended up flying in for the first production meeting, it was the first time everybody met. And luckily they all got along really well and they had great chemistry, and yeah, it's pretty fascinating. So yeah, Lord of the Rings, still a really beautiful movie, beautiful score, amazing script. I love the production design, and you know, I think there's a lot of inspiration in there for me, especially for goblin stuff in fantasy. I think in fantasy, like that movie Legend with Tom Cruise, it started to feel a little too dreamy, or a little too much like fairy tale like, or I don't know if you've ever seen the Never-Ending Story, but I got a river right here I gotta jump across. Like, you know, those kind of movies they're cool, but they kind of like throw you out of it. You don't really feel like it's real. You just feel like it's kind of like, you know, you can see the production design is like a set, like in the Never-Ending Story, and you see that big white dragon, or you know, Atreyu and stuff. It's just like, it just looks so fake. So you kind of get taken out of the movie. So something I really want to do with the fantasy genre is try to make it as real as possible, but there's still a lot of magic elements in it. So as far as marrying those two together, I still think Lord of the Rings by far is the top, is number one for that genre, for fantasy. So yeah, if you guys have any other fantasy movies you can recommend to me, please let me know. Put it in the comments or send me a message or whatever, because I've been having a really hard time trying to find fantasy films that are really, really good. And you know, I was even looking online and stuff, I couldn't really find any. So yeah, Lord of the Rings, amazing. Oh, so the budget was about $93 million, and it made almost $900 million, which is psycho. It made almost $1 billion. So basically times the budget, like times 10. So I didn't know it was that much. I just looked it up today. But man, that explains why I got to make 2 more, I guess. And I just love that movie. It's really well done. Everything just flows together so well. And looking forward to seeing what Peter Jackson does next, if he does anything else. And yep, Lord of the Rings. Cool. See you guys next time. Doodle doo 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 doo.